Oh yeah, I'm up earlier now. It's coming out at 6 a.m. my time now. I'm up at 5:50. I'm up. I'm in. I'm here. I'm ready to go. It's dwarf time. Little guys, just little guys. You know, just little guys. Just little guys. Before we start, I want to do a couple of disclaimers or some quick things I'd like to discuss real fast before we get too deep into the world of the little guys. First things first, I missed a couple of things that, in my excitement, in my zeal of the sisters reveal, a couple of things I missed or glossed over or mistakenly said. I went ahead and made like a little addendum comment in the last video, but I want to talk about it real quick. First things first, Act of Faith specifically states that you can do it per unit, which is really good. It's not once per phase, it's per unit. It's basically GW is like, listen, dude, if you got the dice, you can spend the dice. You can't spend it on the same unit all the time, but if you want to do it, you can do it. If you want to rip through that dice, you have every right to do it, which is crazy. That's once per unit per phase, which is just crazy powerful. So really interesting thing to note. Second thing I wanted to note is that the Bastard Squad did not have a combi weapon. Now, GW has this mentality recently that is all about if it's in the box, that's what you're allowed to take, which is why those guard squads seem kind of bizarre. How if it's a 20-man guard squad, it's 2 sergeants, because it's like, hey, you're taking 2 boxes and you're mashing them together. That's what you're doing. And so that's what's kind of the vibe going on. And the box currently has lots of other weapons like a Inferno pistol, hand flamer, combi bolter, melta, flamer, well, no, only it's a combi bolter. I think it's just combi melta, flamer, plasma, and then like a condemner bolt gun, which is anti-psychic. So a lot of options there that I'm not seeing in the ranged weapon category, and that's rather unlike GW. So a little interesting, that one. So kind of curious. We'll see how that turns out. If it's in like the war gear card on the back, because that is stuff you can take for the sergeants on other squads as well, Celestians, Dominions, and Retributors. So it might be on the war gear card there as well. I think that's really it. I think those are the only 2 things I wanted to talk about a little bit because I was kind of curious about them. Yeah. And second thing I wanted to discuss before we get into the Votann, Games Workshop. I don't think you watch my videos. I genuinely just don't think you do. But the slight possibility, the teensy possibility that my voice may be heard at all, I plead with you. In your combat patrol thing, you showed off a like different data sheet for a Terminator captain, right? Specifically, the invulnerable save. Right here, here's the captain. Here's his defensive stats, and the invul save is in the bottom right. We're pretty aware of that at this point. In your combat patrol one, the invulnerable save is right here, placed directly beneath the 2-up save regular. This is so good. It's so much better. It's so much better to the eyes because everything defensive in a stat line is up here. The toughness, the wounds, the save, everything is up there. Having to go from there and then dart your eyes down here is not fluid on the card whatsoever. So if please, if you have the possibility, if it's possible, if you can at all, and it's not too deep in the creation of all these kinds of things, please move the invulnerable save up here. It is so much better. It is the tiniest quality of life change, and it would mean the world. That's it. That's my only plead. Thank you, James Workshop. If you watch this, okay. Dwarves, the Leagues of Votann. The void is in our veins. Okay, that's pretty good. I thought they would go with the ancestors are watching, but that's a pretty good quote as well. The Votann have a lot of like sayings. Sailing the far space is one of them, which is like a fool's errand, and a couple other ideas. You know, the Votann cover I think is pretty decent. I kind of wish the guy wasn't like yelling. I kind of wish they had like that Sisters 8th edition cover where he's just a bit more stern. Dwarves are, kind of that like angry, begrudging face that the rest of the dwarves have, his idea. But it looks really cool. I kind of wish there was more sci-fi background stuff. I love the look of the more traditional sci-fi spaceships that the dwarves have. Combine that with their dwarf nature. It's a cool cover. Not my favorite cover, but a pretty cool cover. I give it like a B+. So, Leagues of Votann take the matter of personal slice to an extreme degree. Every grudge must be settled, every wrong righted, and in this galaxy there are more than enough wrongs to go around. So, I am going to assume that we are going with the ancestors are watching as their main army rule. Let's see it. Oh, I have the ancestors. Close enough. Close enough. All right. If your army faction is Leagues of Votann, each time an enemy unit... so an enemy unit destroys a Leagues of Votann unit from your army, that enemy unit gains 1 judgment token. An enemy unit can never have more than 2 judgment tokens. Any further judgment tokens a unit would gain beyond this is ignored. Each time a model from your army with this ability makes an attack that targets a unit with 1 or more judgment tokens, until that model's attacks have been resolved, apply the relevant bonus for the table below to the attack. Add 1 to the hit roll, add 1 to the hit, and 1 to the wound roll. Okay. So that is, for the most part, significantly different. The old judgment tokens were a concept of one of the most broken rules in all of 9th edition, I'd argue. Not the most broken codex. I actually think that Release Votann might have been not quite as good as Release Nids, because Release Nids were woo. But the judgment token back then would go up to 3, and every judgment token was 6s to hit. It's lethal hits, so 6s to hit auto wound, then 5s to hit auto wound, then 4s to hit auto wound. It was monstrous, and it completely ruined not only the army, but playing the army, because they had to nerf their points so many times that I felt like you were playing an elite army, like Grey Knights, despite the fact that you didn't have those data sheets, just because you had such a good rule. This is better. I'm actually a little disappointed that it doesn't go to 3 tokens still. I kind of would have liked 3 tokens. I think it would have been kind of fun. I just like the idea of a unit going from Grudge, Grudger, and the Grudgiest. But 2 is fine. 1 to the hit roll is very good. It's very, very good, actually. And 1 to the hit roll and 1 to the wound roll is very, very, very good. I'm curious about how you get tokens besides just having a unit die. Because back in the day, the way you got tokens was a unit died, the unit completes an action, and you haven't really seen that many actions. Actually, I want to think of it. Just like in the cards and stuff. Completes an action, or at the end of the opponent's turn, you pick something on an objective marker, and that gains a token. The other way was to get the glare from the call. So they removed the other 2. No actions don't do it, and the objective marker part doesn't do it either. It's only if you lose a person. Each time an enemy unit destroys a Leagues of Votann unit from your army, that unit gains 1 token. Can never have more than 2 tokens. Any further would be ignored. So a model from your army with this ability makes an attack that targets a unit that's 1 or more until the attacks have been resolved. Apply the relevant bonus. Yeah, okay. Honestly, this could be better than the 6s auto wound type thing. But what's more important is that it's got counterplay. And this is really the reason. The fact that it went all the way to 4's auto wound to hit was basically the most unfun and horrendously it's uncounterable. It's uncounterable. How do you stop unmodified 4-ups auto wounding? -1 to wound doesn't matter. Transhuman doesn't matter. High toughness doesn't matter. -1 to hit doesn't matter. Transhitment doesn't matter. Like, none of your defensive buffs matter besides like an increase in your save. So it was an awful way to deal with it. This is much better because it has counterplay. Add 1 to the hit roll, -1 to the hit roll, or transhitment, or whatever you want to call it. Add 1 to the wound roll, transhuman, or -1 to the wound roll. You know, like there's still options there to be had, and that is really, really good. So okay, this is definitely more balanced in many ways, which is good, but still quite powerful. 2 tokens is you're gonna hit hard. So, accumulation of judgment token spells doom for the units. You click them as blistering auto cannon fire and glowing plasma axes alike, get more accurate and deadly against those who have wronged you. So this is the Oathband detachment. At the start of the battle, select. Oh dear, this is okay. At the start of the battle, select 1 unit from your opponent's army. That unit starts the battle with 2 judgment tokens. Okay, so it's like Oaths of Moment in a way. Not as powerful as Oaths of Moment, but lasts the whole game. At the start of any of your command phases, that enemy unit is. Oh, if. I was like, it just dies? If at the start of any of your command phases that unit is destroyed, you gain a number of CP depending on how early in the battle you destroyed it, as shown below. You can only gain CP in this way once per battle, and CP gained in this way are an exception to the core rules that limit the maximum amount of CP you can gain per battle round to 1. Okay, couple things. 1, confirmation that you only gain it per battle round 1. That's good. We're still keeping that concept. Excellent, excellent. It says limit the number of CP you can gain per battle round. I do wonder. It says gain per battle round. I'm assuming that also means refund, because there was that like Voxcaster thing where when you use a stratagem on this unit, you regain a CP for Astra Militarum. So not sure. But on your first, you destroyed by the start of your first or second command phase, 3 CP. Start of your third or fourth, 2 CP, and then 5th, 1 CP. That's actually really fun. They arrive and they're just like, hey, you, I remember you. Your name's in the fucking book. I'm gonna kill you. It is actually pretty great, and getting the CP is also really, really fun. I like that a lot. I actually really like this concept. It's kind of all or nothing, and it's not particularly great as an detachment thing because you don't get a real rules bonus. But 3 CP is 3 CP, man, or 2 CP. It'll probably be 2 CP. Is still 2 CP. Like, hot damn. That's really fun. I actually like that a lot. Plus, that's just a great tool to hit the enemy with. Really good if you're fighting something like really big. All right. While the bonuses to hit and wound rolls from the Eyes of Ancestors, there's little marked target can do, but cling to life in the hope that certain demise won't hasten that of their allies. All right, what do we got? We have the Land Fortress and we have the Hearthkyn. So I've always been a big fan of the Hearthkyn. I've always liked lots of troops when it comes to like big 20 blocks. So we'll see how this turns. Nope. All right. Movement 5, T5, 4 up save, 1 wound, 7 leadership, 2 OC. This is. Oh, whoa, T5. Oh, damn. T5. Huh, they were T4 before. I just didn't think they would get buffed up to Terminator level. I think they would stay at 4. God damn, they're tougher than a Space Marine. Well, their tech is better than Space Marines. That's the whole point, is that they're technologically advanced as opposed to backsliding like the Mechanicus and the Imperium are. All right. Infantry, battle line, grenades, Hearthkyn warriors. Okay. Faction Eye of the Ancestors. Let's see. Luck has, need keeps, toil earns. The end of your command phase. This is sticky objectives. So this is the exact same thing as Guardsmen. Once you're on an objective and your opponent doesn't take it, then you get the objective. Simple, simple. Cool. Okay, that's fine. I mean, that's always great to have. We always loved the automatic taking. Let's see. War gear abilities. Pan Spectral Scanner. Ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit have the Ignores Cover ability. Okay. Comms Array. Each time you target the bearer's unit with a stratagem, roll 1d6. On a 5 up, you gain 1 CP. Pretty much identical to the Voxcaster, minus the extra power of the Sergeant. That gives it +1. Metapack, models in the bearer's unit have the 6 up, feel no pain ability. Oh my. That's, I would think, just flat out better than the blank a save one. Maybe not. It depends on the scenario. But for the most part, I think that's just flat out better instead of the singular blank a save. So, wow, okay, that's pretty darn good. And we field crest the bear as a 4-up info. That's normally on the Sarge, so that should be fine. Melee weapons, we have the close combat weapon, which is 1 attack at hitting on 4. Oh, I just realized these guys are hitting on 4s now. Okay, so they got buffed in terms of their toughness, but nerfed in terms of their ballistic skill. They hit on a 4-up, and they have a kin melee weapon, which gets an extra attack and a 4-up as well, which, okay, I'm assuming that's like the plasma blade or the axe. Probably the two of them combined. Oh, it's 2 damage. Oh, okay. So the Hearthkyn had the axe, the sword, and I think the concussion gauntlet. So that actually is all of them kind of rolled into one, I guess. Only 1 extra attack, though. I thought the Sarge would get an additional attack along with that. Under the Plasma Blade is the only thing that conferred you an extra attack. The other 2 were just regular. So, okay. It's about what I expected. Just the worst weapon skill. All right. That's about what I assumed. Ranged weapons. All right. Auto pattern bolt pistol, same. Okay, so Autark pattern bolter it's a bolter. Okay, so because hunter is gone, because hunter just meant gun, and now we're removing gun. It's just normal. So hunters are obviously gone. The pattern bolter is 2 attacks, the exact same as the CSM bolter. So basically identical, though it did lose its AP, which is fine. Having base AP 1 was actually quite powerful. The Edakarn Plasma Beamer is 18-inch range, 1 shot, hitting on 4s, 8 -3, 2 damage, but it sustained hits D3. I pulled this up earlier just in case. I think because the Beamer was a beam weapon. So it's actually the exact same profile, 1 shot, but instead of beam, it has sustained hits D3, which with 1 shot can either spike really hard or not spike at all. It all depends. Plasma pistol, I think this was about the same. Only 6-inch range though. Wasn't it 12 before? Oh no, it always was 6. Oh wow, that's really short range. I had no idea. I never took it. The High-Las auto rifle is 611 assault with rapid fire 3. And it's 3 shots. High-Las auto rifle was also 3 shots here, 621. So it went down in AP, but it got rapid fire 3, and it got assault. So it's actually a much more on the move, close range murder shots. So that's pretty cool. High-Las rotary can. Could you take the High-Las rotary can? High-Las auto rifle, ion blaster. No, you couldn't take the High-Las rotary cannon at all. The High-Las rotary cannon? I don't think it comes in the box. Does it? Is there a? No, it's just the auto rifle. That's bizarre. The High-Las rotary cannon is the thing you put on the top of the bikes. It's okay, so it's heavy. Sustained hits 1, 24-inch range, 6 shots, hitting on 5s because it's a heavy weapon. 611. The High-Las rotary cannon was on the Pioneers, and it was 9 shots at 621. Yeah, 9 shots at 621. Now it's 6 shots. Okay, so it's nerfed pretty substantially. 3 shots and an AP, and it's bad ballistic skill because it's heavy and all that stuff. Getting sustained hits, however, it's pretty significantly nerfed. I have no issue with that because the Votann's guns were really good, really, really good, and I'm okay with the nerfs. But I'm just kind of confused. I don't think they have this in the box. Maybe I'm wrong, and correct me if I'm wrong, please. But I just didn't think it did. Oh well. The Ion Blaster is the one shot at 18, 521. I think that's about the same. Wait, is it 521? Oh, it's 521. It was 522, I think, before. Yep, 522. Okay, so that's taken down a damage. That's actually a pretty big deal. Minus the damage and minus just minus the damage. And I guess minus a ballistic skill as well. I guess the difference in ballistic skill could make up for the token system, you know, because you're getting +1 to hit with the token system on the things that have tokens. Though no way to give tokens in the abilities or war gear abilities, so Ion Pistol as well. And then L7 Missile Launcher Blast, D6 shots, 401. Pretty sure the old one had AP1. It was 511. Oh, wow. So now it's 401. That's a big nerf. And then Focused is 9-2 D6. The old one was 9-2 D6 as well. So it's the same, but arguably a nerf because Strength 9 isn't the same as it used to be. And finally, the Magna Rail Rifle. Heavy, hitting on 5s, 18-inch range. So it's actually got a range nerf as well from 24. Strength 12, AP 3, D3 +3 with devastating wounds. Okay, so a couple things. It was Hunter before, so it would hit on 3s. And it was 24-inch range before, right? Yep. And it was AP 4, D3 +3. It's AP 3, D3 +3. The strength is higher, but strength 9 is the new strength 12. That whole deal. And it has dev wounds. So it does not ignore invulns anymore, which is very good because it seems like they're getting rid of the whole ignoring invulns part of the game, which I love because I think it was kind of a bad way to balance stuff. And now it has dev wounds, which is basically its new version of the damage spreading thing. Because in a sense, mortal wounds spreads, you know? D3 +3 damage actually makes it quite hard hitting because the weapons in the game have all been mainly dropped, and making it that strong is actually pretty good. Overall, I'm got a couple questions, like the high las rotary cannon part, a little confused on that one. But other than that, this is a pretty substantially changed data sheet. The actual stat line itself, going to toughness 5, is quite surprising to me. I did not think they would go to T5. And then the war gear abilities are pretty nice and rather interesting. The melee weapons got adjustments. The ballistic skill being on 4s now is a pretty big change. I'm hoping that the Hearthkyn warriors will see a good points drop to kind of go along with this. This kind of makes me feel like they're going to go to maybe 10 points a model or 9 points a model, because this is a pretty solid nerf, not only in terms of damage because of the ballistic skill, but also range and, you know, just there's a lot nerfed on these guys, despite the toughness going up to 5. So we'll see how it turns out. They might not actually go down in points that much because they're tougher now, but we'll see. Also, something I've noticed, I don't see anything about steady advance. Where the idea where if you advanced your units, they would only move 3 flat or 6 if they're accelerated. I don't see that. So I don't know if that's sticking around in a different rule set or if they just did away with it. I have no idea, but they are still slow, so we'll see. All right, land fort. The bane of many people's existence, the land fort. Let's see what's going on. All right, here we go. Vehicle transport, Hecaton Land Fortress. Movement of 10. What was it? Did it always have movement of 10? Oh, yeah, it did. Okay. Toughness of 12. Not surprising. I actually kind of thought it would be a little bit tougher, but oh well. 2 up save, 16 wounds, 7+, and 5 OC. Perfect. About what I assumed. 16 wounds, yeah, still pretty tough. Cool. Let's see. Deadly Demise, D6. Eye of the Ancestors. Fire support. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit it scored one or more hits against. Until the end of that phase, each time a friendly model that disembarked from this transport this turn makes an attack that targets that enemy unit, you may reroll the wound roll. Interesting. Okay, I was a little terrified when I saw the words reroll the wound roll, but if it's only for those inside the land fortress, this definitely turns it into more of a, instead of like a delivering the troop type thing or like melee, it's delivering guns. Because it says until the end of your phase in shooting, it does not count you dumping out, say, berserkers. Oh, all the ranged weapons are hitting on 4s as well. Are Votann a 4-up army now? Are they joining the likes of Tau and Guard? Interesting. So the increase in ballistic skill might entirely be relegated to either character stuff or judgment tokens. Fascinating. Okay. Huh. This is actually a pretty chunky stat line overall, I'd say, as a vehicle still, because it will still be rather tough, but it's certainly not as tanky as it used to be, and we haven't seen some of the possible buffs like the Forge Master. Okay. Panspectral Scanner, ignore cover, usual war gear abilities, and -1 to hit within 1 to 5 wounds. Melee weapons, armored wheels. This is the exact same as the Baneblade and Land Raider, so that's all the same. All right, let's look at these guns, because that's what matters the most. Cyclonic Ion Cannon is Blast. Cyclonic Ion Cannon? Oh, this was something you could swap out for one of the main weapons. That's right, something that I never ever did. Or I always did, was 3d3 shots at 822 blast. Now it is, okay, still 24-inch range. Now it is d6 plus 3 blast, which 3d3 blast would be minimum 3, max 9. This is max 9, minimum 4. But the blast is actually better because blast nowadays is, I'd argue, just a flat out buff. Against 90% of targets. Hits on 4s, 922. This one is 822. So it's a slight strength nerf because of the new strength changes. When you think about it, strength 7 is the new 9. Is kind of how I look at it. 7 is the new 9 because rhinos are now 9. They used to be 7. So making it go from 8 to 9 means it's wounding rhinos on what it used to be 3s, now 4. So it's a slight nerf. But still 2-2, which is pretty good that they kept the AP and damage. Oh boy, here it is. Heavy Magna Rail Cannon. There it is. It's our boy. Devastating wounds. It's heavy as well. 30-inch range. One shot. Hits on a 4. Strength 18. AP 4. D6 plus 6. Okay. The prior Magna Rail Cannon was pretty disgusting. 14, 4, D3 plus 3. Plus 6. And Magna Rail, which meant it ignored invulns and it had Splash. Devastating Wounds is the new Splash, which I won't lie, the possibility of hitting somebody with between 7 and 12 mortal wounds is quite something. But this is about the same because Strength 18 is wounding rhinos on 2s, which would be Strength 7, and Strength 14 is wounding rhinos on 2s. So it's about the same strength. Roughly the same AP, which is also very good because AP normally went down, and a less consistent but same possibility of damage, a lower average damage. The average damage would have normally been 10. Now it is around 9 to 10. But the floor is lower. Before it was minimum 8. Now it's minimum 6 or 7. So for the most part, the heavy Magna Rail Cannon is about as good as it used to be, with the exception of the ballistic skill nerf, which it does get heavy, but that is still a big difference. And there's a good chance your fortress wants to be moving, so we'll see. Very fascinating, though. Very interesting. Hecaton Warhead. It has a blast, indirect fire, and one shot, D6 plus 3. It had like 3 separate kinds of warheads before. There was the Kin's Wrath, Mountain Breaker, and Ancestor's Vengeance. I'm going to assume this is the Ancestor's Vengeance, 6, -2, and 2. It has all kinds of weird shenanigans here, but long story short, it seems to be, it's a blast shot. It's indirect fire. It's one shot. D6 plus 3, 722. It's a nice little mortar you got. Matter autocannon, 6 shots at 712. That is 722, so slight AP nerf. And then conversion beamer is conversion, and sustain hits D3, 2 shots at 10 to 4. The old one was 8, 3, 4, so roughly the same strength, roughly the same, 1 lower AP, and it was the beam where 15 out would give it an additional hit. Conversion appears to be a brand new keyword. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, if the target is more than 12 from the bearer, an unmodified hit roll of 4 up scores a critical hit, which means it would become sustained hits D3. Interesting. As opposed to 1 hit. Okay, so long story short, this might be confusing. A critical hit means a 6 to hit. That is what a critical hit means. That's why lethal hits say on critical hit rolls, auto wound, right? Sustained hits is on a critical hit roll. So basically what it's saying is that if you want to get sustained hits D3, you don't need to roll a 6. You need to roll a 4 or up because of conversion. So if you roll a 4 or up, it hits and you gain D3 extra hits thanks to sustained hits D3. Pretty good, actually. Before it was just if you hit, you get an extra one. This, I think, technically has a higher ceiling of shots. So the conversion beamer is just flat out better, I'd argue, despite the fact that it lost its beam profile. And then last but not least, we have a twin bolt cannon, which is 3 shots at 612, or ion beamer, 3 shots at 721. Both of them twin linked, both of them containing a version of sustained hits. It seems like beams are getting sustained hits D3 overall, so that's interesting enough. Yeah, because bolt cannons are Hunter 3, 622, Hunter 3, 612. But the Land Fortress had up to 4 bolt cannons, or 4 ion beamers. So you probably would have 2 twin bolt cannons. So it would probably be just 2 of these, and then or 2 of these, depending on what you want. Hence the twin linked. 6 shots instead of 12, because that's what the twin linked thing means nowadays. Okay, I gotta be honest, the 4-up ballistic skill is really throwing me for a loop. I never expected that. The judgment tokens will definitely make a difference on that, but that kind of means that judgment token level 1 basically is no different to old judgment token level 1, or in a sense is worse because they used to hit on 3s and now they're not. So this is joining a 4-up army, a tanky, tough 4-up army, which is interesting because of the 4-up armies we have, there's mainly 3, which is Guard, Tau, and now Votann, or I guess Genestealer Cult. So now this will be the 4th one. You could argue some NIDs and stuff, but we'll skip that. Tau hit like trains, and they all go into shooting of extremely powerful, high-quality shooting. Guard drown you in shots with mediocre shooting. Genestealer Cults are wacky, weird, and they're half melee anyway. And so Votann are really tough with middle ground shots. They're really tanky and slow with very short range, but the shots they have are like middle power level. Close to Tau, but probably not quite. Interesting. Very interesting. I'm curious to see how this plays out. I'm going to be a little skeptical. If I know Warhammer players well, probably the Votann players right now are probably losing their minds because people jump to conclusions all the goddamn time, especially because we don't know the point costs of any of these things. The Hecaton Fortress might have gone back down to its original cost of like 250 or 200. So you never really know. But there's definitely a little bit of pause I'm having because that's a big difference, the ballistic skill. the fortress still hits like a train, and also the fire support rule is very good for popping out some nasty shots. So we'll see how it turns out. We'll definitely see. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I am a little about it. All right, weapon spotlight has the conversion beamer, SP conversion beamer. 24-inch range, one shot, hits on 4s, strength 7, AP 1, 3 damage. Conversion means obviously unmodified hit of a 4-up scores a critical hit, which is good. That also actually removes the ability of -1 to hit against them, because if they hit on a 5, it doesn't matter because a 4-up scores a critical hit. So this kind of removes -1 to hit as a defensive strat, but it's not common enough for me to be too worried about it. Isn't the beamer over here? Oh, no, the plasma beamer here doesn't have conversion. Interesting. Well, I guess these are called conversion beamers, so that is its own part of it. 713. I think the old one was 723. Yep, 723. Lower range too, it was 30, now it's 24. And of course, the ballistic skill change. Okay, yeah. So they're an army-wide 4-up now. Last but not least, reactive reprisal is their stratagem. This is normally, if I'm not mistaken, shoot back. In your opponent, so it's 2 CP, oh boy. Your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit that has 1 or more tokens has resolved its attacks. One Leagues of Votann unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. Your Leagues of Votann unit can shoot as if it was your shooting phase, but it must target the enemy that just attacked. It can only do so if it is an eligible target. Okay, so this is almost the exact same thing as the Sisters one. The difference is that there are more restrictions, but it's also, you don't need to have lost anyone. So it's 2 CP, not 1 CP. They have to have a judgment token, and they have to, oh no, that's about it. That's the main difference. And you don't have to have lost any models. You just had to have been the target of the attack. You don't have to have lost any models. Which, like, 2 CP for a generally a worse stratagem than the Sisters shooting when they're dying thing, I think is okay, only because the Votann shoot generally much harder than Sisters do. And also, Sisters kind of love their dying. It's kind of their thing to die and kill you when they die. So it's a bit of a fluff thing there, so I don't mind it too much. I'm also biased, but hey, I also own Votann, so hey. This was a really good stratagem in the current edition. The thing is that in the current edition, it stopped you from shooting with that unit in the next turn as well. It was basically forfeiting your normal shooting phase for this shooting. And that's no longer a restriction either. And you've got good shooting as Votann, especially when you think about the fact that they have a judgment token. That means you're going to be hitting them at +1 regardless. So your 4-up ballistic will become 3-up. Very interesting. The Leagues of Votann rules focus on armies of hardy warriors who defeat their foes through a combination of teamwork, target prioritization, and ruthless efficiency. The profiles in their dash sheets have been overhauled, enabling us to better represent the resilience of their warriors and the superior craftsmanship of their weaponry. Their Eye of the Ancestors army rule has been simplified, but its essence remains the same. As your opponents inflict casualties on your army, they accrue judgment tokens, and the more they have, the more efficiently your forces can eliminate them in turn. In practice, this means that even your rank and file warriors can pose a threat to your opponent's elite forces. I mean, yeah, that's about right. I was about to say, like, you don't have any black library going on. Don't be silly. There's no books yet. Okay. Damn. I'm going to refresh because I really want to know if World Eaters. Neat. Blood for the Blood God. Let's go. Oh boy. I can't wait to see Angron's profile, which they probably may or may not show. Oh boy, World Eaters. Okay. Overall, this is the spotlight I've been the most about by far. I'm a little iffy on some. The Leagues of Votann, the Eye of the Ancestors is a lovely change, a huge change that I think is going to be very helpful. It's simplified. It could be better in some situations, worse in other situations, and overall nowhere near as oppressive and honestly uncounterable in terms of just ignoring all your rules as the prior one was. This Oathband detachment rule is really kind of fun. I like it from a concept point of view, even if it's probably not that good because it has your opponent can kind of counterplay around it. Still kind of hilarious though. Huge changes to the data sheets, man. Becoming a 4 ballistic skill army is crazy. Adding one more to the list. Better toughness though on those warriors. Land fortress is tough. Got good wounds. You know, some of the damage is still like overall, you know, they still hit though. Even with the lower AP, having like 3 damage beamers, like the damage characteristic of the land fortress, only one thing hits with damage 1. Out of everything on the damn thing, only one thing in shooting hits at damage 1. Everything else is so high. You know, the Magna Rail Rifle still really hits, man. Oh, that's still a really powerful weapon. It's just lots of things are shorter range now. And, you know, this is definitely one of those things that I don't think I can generally make a good impression on. Because right now, Votann are so overpriced. Their models cost way too much because of the judgment token rules. Because they're so good. So they could have all kinds of changes because I don't think Votann are supposed to be an elite army. They're supposed to be a regular army, like Sisters, like AdMech. You know, they're supposed to be normal, where you're not a horde army, but you're not an elite army. So they're supposed to be or have more models. So I'm going to assume with such a nerfed data sheet in terms of weapons and ballistic skill, some weapons are going down because the game is getting less killy, but I would assume there would be a points drop too. Or if anything, no points changes, because often when a new edition starts, everything gets like a 10 to 20% points increase, and then it gets cheaper as time goes on. They might just not get a difference. Who knows? I would like the fortress to go down a little bit, though. I don't think this right here, this stat line, necessitates like a 350 point cost, whatever it is right now. So yeah, I'm a little unsure. This provides me with the largest amount of we have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. I think it looks good, but we have to wait and see for a lot of this stuff. Votann players, I know you're used to grudging, but don't you be mauling on me. Don't you be getting all mad and jump to conclusions. You stand there and you be like, we'll see. That's all I ask. All right. World Eaters tomorrow. I will see you then. Blood for the Blood God.